What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Advice from the Ice. We're here.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about setting personal goals for cold exposure. So, how realistic goals and tracking progress in your cold exposure journey is so important.
Yes. We talk all the time about making your practice yours because only you know your body, your needs, your goals, etc. And part of that is making sure that your goals are actually achievable and aligned with what your body is telling you.
Yeah, cold exposure can provide numerous benefits, as we know, like improving your circulation, boosting your immune function, and increasing mental resilience. But like any new habit, it's important to approach it with a clear plan and achievable goals. So let's get into it, Rose.
Yes, let's do it.
A
I
quick
love it.
disclaimer though, we are not healthcare professionals, and you should consult one before you decide to get into extremely cold water like we do. And it does help a little bit with mental health, but again, at your own risk.
Yes, yes, we cannot guarantee results. We are just sharing our experiences.
Mhm.
But if you want to see actual studies on the matter, you can check out our Science Share playlist, and that will give you access to a lot of the studies that are being done around it.
Oh, yeah. So let's start
Ah,
with small attainable goals.
yes.
When starting out with cold exposure, it's really tempting to aim for something extreme right away. Unless you don't like the cold, sometimes it's a little trickier to get in. But it's crucial to begin with small achievable goals. Maybe that's 30-second cold shower or even dipping part of your body into the water. We want to try to achieve that 2 minutes in the cold, which is recommended for the full benefits. But again, you don't need to force yourself. Sometimes that can kind of ruin your plunge experience if you're just terrified and in pain the whole time.
Yeah, or if you're just not feeling it mentally, right? Like I've done that where it's like I really don't want to plunge, but I'm going to anyway. And I always feel better afterwards. But it can be hard if you're not feeling it, especially if it's in the beginning because you haven't made it a habit yet. So, don't push yourself too far. Like you were saying, Jess, like small attainable goals. Don't try to go 10, 20, 30 minutes on your first go or your first month. Like it's a good way to get hurt. You can gradually increase the exposure over time if that's what you want to do, but I don't overcommit in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the great thing about tracking it in your journal. So maybe your first day you only did 30 seconds, but then the next day you do it and you're in there 45 or almost a minute. And it's really exciting once you see that timing increase, especially if you're a person that gets challenged in the cold. It's just a great feeling that you've overcome something and you can physically see it, your improvement.
Yeah. And you don't have to start in 35-degree water, right? You can start in 60-degree water. There's new literature that came out that shows that 60 degrees and lower will have the metabolic effect. And before we thought it was 50. So you can start at those higher temperatures and work your way down. And then, like you said, with tracking it, you can discover if like there is a too cold temperature for you, which we just discovered with one of the girls we've been coaching, right? Anything sub 36 and it doesn't help her anymore. It's detrimental because she can't get her core cold, but being Anne hurts so bad she can't stay in long enough to get her core cold. So we've had to kind of adjust what we do with her because she needs that, no lower than 36-degree mark. So that's been super cool and super fun to, see. So too cold can be detrimental. It can make it worse, especially if your body's already fighting stuff. So absolutely start warmer and work down. Don't let anyone tell you you have to jump into, a freezing lake on your first time.
Yes, I like that you bring it up because listen to your body. When pushing
Yes.
yourself, it's definitely part of the process in cold exposure, but it's super important to listen to your body. Exposure can be intense, and overdoing it can lead to a lot of negative outcomes. If you're feeling dizzy, overly fatigued, or mentally drained after the session, definitely scale back, drink some water. Hot tea is great. Your goals should challenge you, but not at the cost of your health, and adjust them based on how your body is responding. And remember, it's a long-term journey, not a quick fix. And if you're listening to your body right now and like our podcast, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode of Advice from the Ice.
Yes. And when it comes to listening to your body, you also need to listen to it the next day and the next day and the next day, right? Because not everyone's going to have accessibility to cold plunge daily, especially if they're starting out. But, sometimes it feels okay when you're in the ice, and then the next day you feel terrible. And that's when the tracking really comes important of like, okay, well, was the water colder, or was it colder outside? Or did I eat less? Did I eat more? Like, that's where all those little nuances come in handy, because every plunge is different. But separating what was different from the bad plunges and the good plunges can help you not have bad plunges in the future.
Yeah, that circles back to tracking, which is why we came up with the IceWellness journal. It's just super important to track and understand what is happening mentally, physically, even spiritually during your
Yeah.
exposure to cold.
Yep. I just like anything, consistency matters more than anything, right? So staying consistent with it, again, even if it's, I'm committing consistently to 30 seconds of cold, and I'll work up from there. Or if it's just, committing to cold showers at the end of a regular shower, or starting with cold. I know a few people who do that, who get in the shower and then turn it on. So the initial blast is the cold, because they know they won't turn it from hot to cold. So starting with cold even, and then you can work up to actually just showering in the cold shower because you get used to it. But consistency and routine are going to be your best friends when it comes to this.
Yeah, I sometimes like to mix it up. I'll do my ice bath one day and then a cold shower the next day. And I found that it's kind of enjoyable that way. I thought I had to get into my ice bath every day, but honestly, like it's still consistency. Even if you're just skipping every other day and doing it, like you don't have to do it every single day. Even weekly is a good way to start. And don't forget to make it fun. Pair it with something you enjoy, like the mantras in IceWellness, or music and breath work. That makes it a lot more enjoyable, and it can help you stay motivated to reach your goals.
And especially pairing it with your workout, do the ice bath then workout. It makes your workout feel so much more, just more like more extreme, but not in a bad way. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and if you're starting it in the beginning of your day, or getting that energy boost in the middle of the day, journal about it, because you'll notice possibly your productivity increases, you're feeling much better throughout your day. Like there's just so many amazing benefits that can come out of it. If you're a person that just feels tired all the time, like I used to be that person. Everyone I ran into, hi, how are you? I'm tired. Like I literally embodied tired all the time. But since doing my practice and figuring out what works and doesn't work for me, like I'm honestly not tired anymore. Like I definitely have a lot more energy, and it's just amazing like what you can get out of it.
I like anything else, right? You want to reassess and revisit your goals from time to time, because maybe you're meeting them. Maybe they're easy. Maybe you found your goal was a little too, intense at first. You need to scale it back. Of course, again, you do want to challenge yourself with new goals, but maybe that's, a degree colder instead of longer, or maybe that's just a little bit longer and keeping the temperature where it is, or maybe it's, changing it up to 2 a day, like whatever that's going to look like for you. Just make sure that you're assessing your goals. And if you're not hitting them, figure out why you're not hitting them, and then try to hit them again.
Yeah, a little fact, uh, over time, cold exposure activates the brown fat in your body, which definitely helps generate heat and improve your metabolic function.
Yes, and that is super important to long-term health.
Mhm. Cold exposure can be an incredibly rewarding practice when it's approached with intention. By setting our realistic goals and tracking progress, you'll be able to turn this challenging experience into a very powerful tool for personal growth.
Yeah, we've definitely done that, and like we used to have high challenge goals. Like there for a while, we were doing 7 minutes every time just for the sake of it, right? And then we kind of scaled back. And part of that might be like who you're plunging with too. Like if you plunge with a really competitive person, you might have to just step back and be like, look, like my goal is not this. This is my goal. This is what I'm going to. And, either have the resilience to not let them chiding you affect you, or have the spine to stand up to them and say like, hey, I don't appreciate it when you try to push me to dangerous, what I perceive as dangerous limits. Like, can you stop? Because so often people will get themselves into stupid situations because of peer pressure or social pressure. And again, it's your practice. It is not anyone else's. So it doesn't matter if, you could absolutely look at the people jumping into frozen lakes and swimming under the ice, or, jumping into a really icy forge in the first thing in the morning and have respect for them. But that doesn't mean that has to be you. And if that doesn't work for you, that's okay.
Yes, that's why I love the Ice Wellness Journal community. It's so diverse. There's so many different cold therapy enthusiasts. Like there's beginners, there's advanced, and there's people jumping in icy lakes and ice baths, and there's people just doing their cold showers or slight like swimming pools that are not as cold, and it's welcomed by us and everybody. And it's a great place to be supported no matter how far along you are or what your capacity is for the cold exposure.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you practice, it just matters that you practice.
Exactly. So thanks for joining us today. Remember, the key is to start small, track your progress, and listen to your body along the way. Stay cold, stay committed, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. So we will link to the journal in the description.
Ooh.